Liz Gosling, who I first managed to interview at Tech Week, which you all hopefully saw. And this, of course, is a yarn with, so we're going to find all about Liz, meet the person, what impact are you making, what's your AFQY experience, and what's the coolest thing in tech, the 4 questions. So let's start, Liz, if we could, with you introducing yourself and give us a picture of who you are. Let us meet the person, please.
Hi Ryan, Kia ora, it's lovely to be here. I'm Liz Gosling. It's great to be here. I'm actually mum to Caitlin and Cara, my 2 daughters. Cara's 17 and Caitlin's somewhat older, and I live in the Waitakere Ranges. I'm married to Mark Gosling, who is CEO of the Trust Arena. So I'm a Brit, you can hear that obviously. Even though I've been in New Zealand for 18 years, I still apparently sound quite British. My hobbies are food and wine. I love to cook. Music, also all sorts of music, a big music fan. My cats, traveling, although obviously that's very limited now. So all my plans for traveling this year have disappeared, as they have for all of us. Before New Zealand, I lived in the UK, and I worked in the UK, Europe, and the US, mostly for tech companies.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that rundown. And I didn't realise that you're in the Waitakares. I'm in West Auckland, Te Atatu South. But if I was to spin my camera around and look out the window of my office, it looks like I'm deep in the Waitakares with a bunch of native trees surrounding my property. So probably can't throw a stone to yours, but
if you look right up at the Waitakere Ranges, you know where the mast is, the good night Kiwi mast, as many people know it, and then go about 2 inches to the left and down. That's me, right up on Scenic Drive.
Oh, excellent. Yep. So when I walk the dog around the top of Henderson, up on Te Atatu South, Glendine, before you go down to Henderson, I always look to that at the sunset. So there we go. Okay. Little did I know we were,
I'm an adopted Westie. Best part of Auckland, I reckon.
Absolutely. So just thinking about a few things, we're going to get you to spin around and grab 3 things off your shelf, which was started by David Downs recently. So if you want to take the earpods out, give it a go.
I will give that a go. Just 1 moment. I've actually got 4 here. It's a bit naughty, but I couldn't decide.
4 is fine. That's great. So the idea of this is that it gives us a little bit of an extra story as to who you are. So over you.
All right. So the first 2 are related to my children. My oldest daughter, Caitlin, if you're watching, she does a great line in birthday cards. So here's a recent birthday card from Caitlin. I don't know whether you can see that.
Yes, I can.
So, yeah, she always gets the good ones. Second one is a card that my teenager made for me some years ago. This was before I went to the States for about 4 weeks for work, and she gave me this before I got on the plane, and she'd written a note about she was going to miss me a lot.
Oh, that's so sweet.
She is, yes. So there's those 2. The third thing, I've been really privileged in my career, and we can talk about it a bit later, but one of the things, as well as being a CIO, I've put a lot of time and effort into developing other people. That's one of my great passions. And for a number of years, I taught on a leadership institute in Australia, which I just loved. And I ended up being actually director of that for 4 years. Last year, I was incredibly privileged. I was invited to go to Hong Kong to teach on a leadership institute in Hong Kong. Yeah, I'd been through Hong Kong, as you do, on the way to somewhere else. I'd never really been to Hong Kong or learned anything about Chinese culture. So it was just a fascinating experience. And as ever, I learned as much from the Chinese and the Hong Kong people as they probably learned from me. So that was really fascinating. And the 4th thing is going to mean something to all the Brits out there. We all know that this is actual real Marmite. This is the genuine article, people. Only because of the...
Hey, just because you won the World Cup and you beat us at the World Cup doesn't mean you can have a go at our Marmite. Eh?
So we have to say, when it gets imported into New Zealand, it has to be called Armate, because I think Sanitarium own the brand Marmite in New Zealand. Anyway, so I always have a jar of this in the office. And actually, it's been in quite short supply since the lockdown. I don't think it's on the priority foods list as far as it much as it used to be.
Don't give it to Donald Trump. He'll probably tell everybody that it's a cure. So, and one thing I was going to ask you about, and I think from the Tech Week interview, the post is actually in the emergency management office. Because when I look behind you, it looks like that must be a picture of your favourite beach rather than the keep calm and carry on being.
I do have this in my office.
There we go. There we
go. And I have another one. So I have these in the office too.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, that brings us on to the actual work question. What impact are you making? And at Tech Week, we've got a little bit of an insight from being on the emergency response team for COVID that I talked about. And then also as a CIO, being leader of technology across the university the size of AUT, plus all the other stuff that you do. So where do you want to start?
Well, I guess I'd start by saying I work at AUT. Yes, my primary role has been CIO for a number of years, although this year I've been seconded into being a co-lead of AUT's COVID-19 response. And obviously, organisations all over the world had to cope with the impacts of COVID. Everyone who works at AUT makes an impact in some way. We provide education that helps people to improve their lives and that of their families. Our research at AUT contributes to solving the world's wicked problems, like climate change, health issues, and social inequality. I've always felt really strongly that I need to feel that my work has a clear purpose, and the mission of AUT is very, very clear. And as the job market contracts, as it is doing during COVID, and people are being laid off, and it's a terrible time for many, many people, the ability for people to upskill and learn new things is vital, and AUT is a great place to do that. So as part of an organisation that makes an impact, I think I'm very lucky. On a more personal level, as well as being CIO here, I do hold an ICF approved executive and organisational coaching certificate. I've got an MBA majoring in HR, MBA majoring in HR, and I'm a Belbin accredited facilitator. And as I said, I've taught on leadership institutes around the world for many years. I've also been a board chair, and I'm currently a board member of 2 organisations. So during my career, I've worked and led teams through all sorts of challenging situations, and this year has probably been the most challenging for many of us. It's been a terrible year. I know all of the technology teams out there have worked incredibly long hours to keep their organisations connected and going. So to all you people, kudos, you've done a fantastic job. And of course, like all people, I've faced my own challenges, both professionally and personally. So by becoming an accredited coach, I thought I could bring all of that to bear to actually help other people work through challenging times, work out what they want to do with their lives, give them some space and time to think about those knotty problems. So I do actually truly believe that helping people develop through coaching or through working on leadership institutes is one of the most impactful things that I do.
Yes, well, that is quite an amazing, so I always go back to something my father-in-law said one day when I was still young, and Nikki, my now wife, and I were just sort of dating. And he said, I went to a funeral, and I shouldn't speak ill of the dead, but what a boring life. The eulogy was just nothing. When I die, I hope people got something better to say about me. And in some regards, it's a little bit mean, obviously, but it was a discussion in private. And the point was, it made me think, and like, yeah, what am I going to do with my life? What are people going to say about me at the end? And it always flashes through my mind when I speak to someone like yourself. And I just sit there a little bit gobsmacked and go, wow, that's pretty cool, outstanding stuff that you've done and achieved.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Ryan. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Bye-bye.